Hello everybody and welcome back to Language Litigation Integration Part 6, The Path of Most Pathetic. In this lecture what we're going to do is we're going to look at, from a historical, biological, and psychological standpoint, death in society. We're going to pick up basically where we left off last time. We're going to talk about narratives, we're going to talk about scapegoats, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to tell the story of how the path of least resistance became the path of most pathetic because of the technology in our society, for the good and for the bad. So to start, we just have a couple simple historical facts. The Sumerians, Babylonians, and Mesopotamians all practiced human sacrifice. Again, we don't practice human sacrifice. But again, not that long of a time ago, 2,000, 2,500 years to 5,000 years ago, you just said, hey, we harvest our grains, we fish in the sea, and we have celebrations and rituals where we just light somebody else on fire, or we torture somebody else, or we just kill somebody else for the sins of the group. A bunch of people are doing a bunch of nasty, weird shit, and everyone's kind of aware of it. Everyone's skittishly laughing, looking around like, what are we doing? Oh, blame Johnny, light him on fire, throw him off a fucking cliff, and now we fixed. Problem solved. But the throwing off the cliffs is the ancient Greeks threw people off cliffs who sneezed at the wrong times. I've studied ancient Greece pretty rigorously. But that fact was from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I did want to give them a shout out. Thought this game was really fun. But that was true. You and your war buddies, the Spartans, are going to go take on the Athenians. All of a sudden you sneeze at the wrong time. Now all your homies are just launching you off a cliff. That would suck. But obviously those societies aren't today. So how do we tolerate death in our own society? Or do we? Well, I think we do. Again, in a very indirect way, but I really don't think we value or we limit mortality the best we can, or even to an appropriate level. And so in the last lecture we left off with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I modified that a little bit just to say physiology and psychology. But I actually think we're going to flip that around a little bit, and we're going to talk about, I don't know if it's Harlow's monkeys, might have been Maslow's monkeys again, but we're just going to continue our discussion of psychology in relation to identity and, well, first of all, again, your ability to buy things, your ability to take care of your biology, but then just different facets of psychology and different facets of known hypotheses in the field of psychology. So it was Harlow's monkeys, I think rhesus monkeys, and Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But my point is, Harlow's monkeys experiment directly contradicts Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs says we need to satisfy our most basic biological functions. Harlow's monkeys shows us we want social comfort and support more so than even our most basic biological necessities. So what impact does that have on our society as a whole? Right? Well, we live in the most technologically privileged society in human history. And it's a biological fact that we accept suffering as a mechanism of survival, and on an individual basis, once we have our personal needs met, sure, we want to help other people, but not that much. And that's just true. And then the fourth thing I have up here is the less life you've experienced, the more narrative you accept. Which is true. Go talk to someone who's been in war. Go watch somebody who's been in war. The kind of delusions about just death not being a relevant thing is, again, I don't think it's a benefit at all. I think it's a mechanism for delusion in our society today. But so if you just even like talk about death to some people, it'll strike them as morbid. Remember Goofy Gary and Spooky Sandy. The Goofy Gary, if you try to have a serious conversation at all, and again, not a morbid conversation, just a realistic conversation, they'll get scared, they'll get spooked. What happens when you look into a mirror and don't like what you see? Well, you get defensive. Every animal does it, and so why wouldn't we do it? And why wouldn't we do it on a truly social, extremely social scale? Well, we would do it, and we do it. And how? School, right? You go into a classroom, a bunch of teachers, again, when you start at school, the teachers you have aren't researchers. They've gone to school, they've got a couple degrees, but my point is that's, again, extremely watered down, the path of most pathetic of suffering. Sounds like a good narrative. Oh, I went to Harvard. I have a 5.0 GPA, which is hilarious because if you have a standard, which is 4.0, and then you just say, well, I'll just make it 5.0 because fuck it, we're better. Well, you deteriorate any meaningful testing ability of your system. And again, if you want to test who can do science, do science. But my point is, from the institutionalization of school plus the benefits of technology have made it like a competition of just nothing. You go, like I said, you go into school and have a teacher who has not actually contributed to any field of research, teaching you at the beginning of your exposure to education. And I'm not trying to be offensive to teachers, but at the same time I don't give a fuck. It ruined my life, but I'm still trying to just be honest to how do you move forward and fix what you've developed. Well, honestly, it's just personal awareness that this is what happens. But testing in school is honestly to the point of genuine fraud. And again, none of this is me bitching. This is a genuine scientific legal lecture. But this is what happens. As you have people who quickly, easily forget of 30 to 50,000 years of evolution of their ancestors, people coming before them, literally having to scavenger for food. Now, again, all narrative is kind of bullshit, so categorizing 50,000 years in one go is just kind of not adequate, but the point is very true. School is a way to weed out certain people, right? We have our intelligence curve. These people, like, I don't know, the top 15% of people feel like it validates their existence and their identity to a weird level, right? I was just watching Shark Tank, not last night's episode. Today's Thursday, I don't know, May 14th, but last week. And you had some Asian lady on there pitching I don't even know what the product was, but it was, I have this MIT award. That's clearly how you know it's the best thing ever. And so the reason narrative exists is because it genuinely works and benefits a substantial portion of the population. But on the society as a whole, I mean, it's profoundly detrimental, profoundly restrictive to the economic progress this country could see. And so we're going to talk about that now. Again, I can't beat around the bush of the things that I've presented here, but when you have someone who can solve a lot of math in a very short period of time, and you expose them to middle-aged men and women who have never done mathematical or scientific research at all, and now they're the teachers. They grade me. They bound the system. If you're smarter than your teachers, and again, smarter is the wrong word. If you're producing a profound amount of research and people don't have the capacity to understand what you're doing, you're holding back literally everybody. And unfortunately, that's already happened. I mean, these proofs have been done. Done, period, end of story, for 3.5 years. But these are the reduced forms of the proof. I mean, I've been doing this math truly to this capacity since age 12. I mean, for sure age 12. 14 fucking years ago. And so, what you've done is you've institutionalized fraud. You've accepted some amount of suffering, because it works for a good amount of portion of the society. And now COVID-19 hits, and getting to the fear. The reason I'm just doing these lectures because this was right on the time frame I was doing them anyway. But there's probably two things you notice with the COVID-19, I don't say hysteria, but just reaction. You see people who are, one, it awakens a sense of the social group of like, we're all in this together, right? We're floating around in our heads all day for years and years and years, and then a biological disease hits, and we're like, oh yeah, everyone can just like fall over dead in 5 minutes. So you've probably noticed like the togetherness, and you've also probably noticed just the fear, the weird vibes. Oh, why is everyone awkward and uncomfortable? And it's just like, because you can die. And when you go through your whole life, the less life you've experienced, the more narrative you accept. You just kind of don't think about it. And when it's at a society level, I mean, it facilitates death. It facilitates people being fat and people being overweight. And again, like I said, I want to do more in-depth biological research. Again, I just need more access to facilities to really make meaningful steps. And that's, again, there's the restriction right there. But this is school, the narrative of school that works for some people, the MIT, the Harvard, the Stanford. That's another one thing I say, is like, it's hilarious. You go to one of those schools and everyone will be like, I went to one of the best schools in the country. Okay, fantastic. Pick one fucking best one and all the other ones are fucking shit. Oh, no, why would you do that? Then we can't sell our fraud. Then Dartmouth can't sell their fraud. And then Rice can't sell their fraud. And Johns Hopkins, well, they're the best at this thing. And Johnny's the best at that thing. And gold stars for everyone. And you've restricted true fundamental scientific progression for 15 straight fucking years. Moving on. So now, how do people die? I just have up here the global deaths from 2016 and the American deaths from 2017. That's World Health Organization, this is CDC. But heart disease came in at 9 million, stroke at 6 million, obstructive pulmonary disease at 3.7 million, respiratory infections at 3 million, and dementia/Alzheimer's at 2.3 million. And American deaths in 2017, you have heart disease at 650,000, cancer at 600,000, accidents at about 170,000, respiratory infections at 160,000, and dementia at 121,000. And I put this up here for reference just recently. Again, it's May 14th. COVID deaths in America, I believe, are just over 80,000. I haven't checked today. But I mean, this shows you an undeniable sense of, again, I said the spotlight effect, but just people being selective about what they care about. And I have all death matters. The purpose of technology in society at the most basic level is to get people to die less. Heart disease, stroke, obstructive pulmonary disease. Heart disease, cancer, accidents. So, and again, excuse me if I'm being inconsiderate to people with genuine genetic disorders, but this is fucking negligence. This is fucking negligence. A quick history and biological aside. Now, you have the SARS, it's like SARS-19 COVID something. But when you have a novel disease, the way those begin is they're just a dormant strain in another biological organism. over the course of, I think most large-scale land mammals were extinct around 15,000 years BCE, I believe, in North America. My point to you on a much larger scale is, I didn't actually read the book. I bought a book called The End of Pandemics, and pandemics will end because whatever you name your molecules, they just have some shapes. But it truly is a novel disease. And so that's about 80,000 deaths. This is in America. We'll just keep it to America because I don't know the death numbers right off the top of my head for COVID for globally. But that's 1.25 million. 1.5 million. This is just the top three. 1.5 million of annual deaths of literally direct negligence. 1.5 million. And so if you want to be a real hero, yeah, make your face mask, yeah, make your hand sanitizers. Exercise. Take care of your health. Think about your neighbor every other fucking day when there isn't this psychological sensation going through our population. Have some fucking responsibility. You live in the most technologically developed society ever. You can buy any food that's healthy and appropriate at the grocery store right now today. But here's the big thing. You have to do it every day. Most of the days. Now we've gone over that. Now getting over to the point of school, right? Since childhood, you're literally taught to go to school for 8 hours a day to basically play games all day and take tests. But you're not taught to eat healthy. You're not taught to prepare food. You're not taught to learn the law. You're taught the Baroque period of music. Who fucking cares? Piles of bodies. These piles of bodies and these piles of bodies all matter. But again, at a society level, this is just, oh, well, heart disease, that just happens. And disease and deterioration, death is the, people say death and taxes are the only things you can avoid. False. The only thing you can avoid is death. Or the only thing you can't avoid is death. But this is just like, people would just like, and again, cancers and deaths, like chronic diseases at 50, 60 years old is young. I mean, it's young. 80, 90 years old, I still truly think it's, on a context of 150 years, I think it's a young age, honestly. We'll find out. But this, I just want to give you perspective. This is how people die. And again, not taking care of the base level of your physiological health. Because our psychological tendencies to group up together. When we're scared and offended, we're just going to go find a group of people that reinforce our ideas and make us feel all good. I'm a good person. Made some hand sanitizers. Handed out food. Congrats. Congrats. Take care of your first of all, take care of your own health every single day for sure and for real. Past that, you're just in denial. Past that, exercise. This is the world you actually live in. Holy fuck. Moving on. So now I'm going to just finish up this lecture by honestly just laughing at my own life. I'm just going to show you how the things I'm talking about has affected me directly personally. And just some examples, man. He said, I've been doing mathematics to a profound level since age 12. Every day for the past 14 years, every time I open my mouth, or don't open my mouth, or react to something, or don't react to something, the herd of pathetic people just like, oh, what's this guy doing? But for real, like, I mean, you might find it funny, you might get offended. If you get offended, and you can get offended at me all you want, couldn't care less. But if you get offended about me, and you're in any sort of research role, go ahead and drop your name, first and last name in the comments, and we'll deal with you then. But I have a $4 million business I can't open because of scientific incompetence. I'm the founder and owner of BHM Spirits. We have a patented, we have a utility patent on literally all non-psychoactive cannabinoid infused liquor in the entire state. So I am the predominant authority in law, I'm the predominant authority in mathematics, I'm the predominant authority in scientific diction. Any of it. When I submitted my patent, and this is even before the actual business part, when I submitted my patent, the patent examiner discussed the law, science, and my property with my attorney, consulted me zero, there was no written record of it, and said, here's what you can patent because of, the guy's name was Michael, the patent examiner's on the public information. I don't know it on the top hand. My point to you is, I had people literally modifying the diction of my personal property without my input at all because of completely incompetent understanding of law and completely incompetent understanding of science. 4 months later, I have a patent video, I'm not going to go through the patentability stuff here, but 4 months later, this same patent examiner granted a patent that unequivocally, without effing question, was not differentiated from my prior art. Not at all. I mean, not even kind of close. I'll probably do a comedy video about it because I would say it's a joke, but it's fucked my business. Well, it hasn't fucked my business because the filing dates and again, the actual patentability of the claims. I'm not actually worried about the IP, but the fact is he issued another fucking patent. Now, getting to the business, I've successfully licensed my patent. It didn't ruin my IP. But now, start a business, now you have to go sell it to a big dog. To go take it to a Pernod Ricard or Constellations Brands. That's who I'm thinking about here. So I had a conference call with Constellation Brands and the attorneys of Rob Sands. I don't think Rob Sands is the CEO of Constellations anymore. They openly fucking told me they had no interest in my IP and it did not cover anything. Or did not cover anything, but they could easily get around it. And no, you fucking can't. Like, I know my IP, I'm not going to go over it here, but you can't actually get around it. As it sits right now, today, yesterday, as it was issued in 2017. But the point is, you have a bunch of pathetic people, you have a lawyer who all he wants, his literal paid job as corporate counsel is to instruct and guide the CEO. But at the same time, as we covered in my last lectures, the business environment of the most pathetic people ever, they just trample over each other and I don't even feel like it's fucking wrong. I'm not trying to assess the morality. You can't get around my fucking patent, but as legal counsel to a multi-billion-dollar company tells a hard-working American entrepreneur, fuck off, I'll steal your property. I mean, good luck. Good luck with that. If you think you can get around my patent, you were sued yesterday. Have a nice day. But that was one just profound incompetence. And it's cost me, again, my business closed the funding round at about $4 million. And if I wasn't in an environment of profound, again, fraud, negligence, treason, and just general scientific incompetence, this would be at a $400 million company yesterday. I have $10 million plus in math I simply can't publish. These solutions I'm talking about that I've reduced to undeniable logic, you click publish, I get $10 million. Fantastic. It hasn't happened, no one fucking cares. Bills still come, I still have bills to pay. And I can't take care of my own health because people won't pay me. And this is Ohio marijuana card. So when I was at Ohio State, and I am getting pushed out of a group of people that, again, have never read a science book, have never contributed to scientific research, and oh my gosh, Brad smokes weed now. Oh, he messed up. No, I didn't. I was going to a school where once you perceive a group of people can't respect you, it gets fucking weird. When it's a Ohio State University, it's an accredited school, it gets illegal. And so when you can't take care of your health, you have to, cannabis is 100% a medicine, it's 100% like I said, a non-toxic recreational substance. But start smoking weed to go to sleep. And now I need to Now the state of Ohio has implemented, again, rules to how I can get a plant. Okay, I'll play the game, fantastic. But I go to Ohio marijuana card. I live in Dublin, Ohio. It's a facility. They have several offices around Ohio. I go in there. I went in there for like 30 seconds. I had signed up online and their systems didn't work. Talked to the front desk lady. She says, try back, sign up, make sure your sign up works. Come back with appropriate material. I say fantastic, and I do so. I get all of my material ready, which again, having a psychologist tell me I have a fake disease to be able to smoke a plant is just the weirdest shit ever. But sure, like I said, I'll play the game. Got that done. And then I go back to the facility. And like I said, this is a month later. The same front desk chick, like, didn't remember me. And then I said, I said, you're fucking incompetent. And this other chick, this manager, comes raging out from the back room and says, if we don't talk around my front desk chicks like that, I'm going to call the cops on you. I went into a medical facility, called someone incompetent who is, and then they tell me they're going to call the cops. Imagine going to the hospital and they neglect you, or they treat you so shitty that they call the cops on you because they can't accept their own responsibility. Don't imagine that. That's Ohio marijuana card. Now, hilariously, the founder and CEO of the company, again, I am all over the finance world, all over math, science, everything world. The CEO, I said, hey man, I'm suing you, can you please contact me? And his response was, cool, how's that going? Who are you? Connor S. Shore. My point is, you try to have a serious conversation with someone who's never experienced life, and they literally get offended to the point where it's a personal offense. Carnival, man. Shit's a carnival. But also Lamar advertising. I put up a literal billboard, a huge-ass fucking billboard that says, Ohio State. Well, I tried to say, we went back, there were several iterations of the design of the billboard that I tried to submit, and they said that I couldn't call Ohio State fraudulent without a judicial ruling of guilt. Okay. So I said, okay, fantastic. I modified my design, and the top of it said, then I wanted to say Ohio State University is fraudulent. They wouldn't let that. Then I wanted to say Ohio State University is incompetent. They wouldn't let me. They directly violated the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. I have free speech to call Ohio State University incompetent. But again, frankly, the fraud is so bad that the fraud is just so fucking bad that they don't think it's possible to be real. Fantastic. Open your eyeballs. Look around. The Pentagon just says UFOs are definitely real. You can't have UFOs if you can't understand physics to any meaningful level if there's any UFOs. Your government 3 years ago. But the design that I actually got put up on the billboard was rhythm is a function, momentum is a function of rhythm. And then 2 months later, the Lamar advertising company comes out with this big billboard of like, it's all over the news, of this clothing company in New York, like wrestling Donald Trump down in like I wouldn't say it was a violent picture, but I mean, it was more aggressive than calling Ohio State fraudulent, and certainly more aggressive than calling Ohio State incompetent. Right there, posted big up on a billboard, no problem at all. I don't, and it was during the time when, again, they impeached Donald Trump, and I'm 0% political, 0% support Donald Trump. But it was like one of the big impeachment, rah, let's impeach the guy. But I didn't see his judicial ruling of guilt. Well, you just caught a lawsuit. Ohio marijuana card, you just caught a lawsuit. Now, unfortunately, these are separate lawsuits in the RICO statute, but this is what the path of most pathetic looks like in real fucking time. I'm just a person out here trying to make a living, trying to go to sleep, trying to smoke some weed. America for spacious skies, from sea to shining sea. See you on the next episode.